It was a cold and moonless night when Tao, a dedicated Hmong truck driver, began his late-night haul through the remote highways of northern Minnesota. The long stretch of road was desolate, with only the occasional flash of distant headlights to break the monotony. Tao was accustomed to the solitude of the night shift, and the rhythmic hum of the engine had become a familiar companion. Tao's route was long, with a final delivery scheduled for the early hours of the morning. As he drove, he felt a sudden chill that seemed to seep into his very bones. He shrugged it off as a cold draft, adjusting the truck's heater to warm the cab. Little did he know, the chill was just the beginning of something far more sinister. As Tao navigated a particularly dark and isolated stretch of road, he saw a figure standing by the roadside, partially obscured by the shadows. The figure was a woman in tattered clothing, her face obscured by a veil of darkness. Despite the eerie appearance, Tao felt a strange compulsion to stop. He pulled over, and the woman approached the cab with a ghostly, almost translucent presence. "Are you in trouble?" Tao asked, trying to mask his unease. The woman didn't respond, but as she drew closer, a cold, oppressive atmosphere filled the cab. The temperature dropped drastically, and Tao felt an inexplicable wave of nausea wash over him. His vision blurred, and his hands shook uncontrollably. Despite his best efforts, he felt a growing sense of dread, as if something malevolent was pressing down on him. The woman's eyes, cold and unfeeling, locked onto Tao's with a penetrating gaze. Her mouth moved silently, as if whispering a curse that Tao couldn't hear but could feel deep within his soul. His sickness worsened, he began to sweat profusely, feeling as though he was burning up and freezing simultaneously. The oppressive presence of the spirit seemed to drain him of all strength. Desperate to escape, Tao forced himself back onto the road. His drive became a blur of disorientation and discomfort. The spirit's influence seemed to cling to him, amplifying every bump and turn in the road into an ordeal. He was barely able to focus on his surroundings, driven only by the need to complete his delivery. When Tao finally reached his destination, he was a shadow of his usual self, barely able to perform the unloading tasks. The delivery was completed with great difficulty, and he began his long drive home, the road ahead seeming endless and foreboding. Upon arriving home, Tao's condition had worsened. His family, alarmed by his pale, sweating appearance and the fever that had taken hold of him, immediately sought help. They reached out to a trusted Hmong shaman, hoping for a remedy to the curse that seemed to plague Tao. The shaman arrived the next morning, performing a series of rituals to drive away the evil spirit. The air was filled with the scent of burning herbs, and the shaman chanted ancient prayers, calling upon the spirits for protection and healing. Tao, exhausted and weak, lay on the floor of his home, his family gathered around, watching in anxious silence. But the evil spirit's influence did not stop with Tao. It began to spread its malevolence through his home. Strange occurrences plagued the household, doors slammed shut on their own, lights flickered erratically, and an overwhelming sense of dread filled every corner. Tao's wife, Mai, found herself plagued by vivid nightmares, waking in a cold sweat with a feeling of being watched. Their children became irritable and restless, their sleep disturbed by a constant sense of fear. The spirit seemed intent on causing as much chaos as possible. Objects in the house were thrown about, and an inexplicable cold settled over their home, despite the warmth of the heaters. Mai's health deteriorated as well, her once vibrant energy replaced by a constant fatigue that made daily tasks feel like insurmountable challenges. Tao's family was caught in a web of fear and confusion, struggling to cope with the unexplained disturbances and the impact on their well-being. As the shaman completed his rituals, he instructed the family to maintain a strict regimen of prayers and offerings to keep the spirit at bay. Tao, now recovering, found a renewed sense of purpose in protecting his family from the lingering presence of the malevolent spirit. The shaman's guidance, combined with the family's resilience, helped restore some semblance of normalcy to their lives, but the scars of the haunting remained. From that night forward, Tao vowed never to return to trucking. The nightmare of the evil spirit and its impact on his family was too profound. He left his career behind, finding solace in staying close to his loved ones and ensuring their safety. The haunting experience served as a grim reminder of the unseen dangers that lurk in the dark corners of the world, forever altering the course of his life and the lives of those he cherished.